for this week, I read a really fun adventure book, and it is The Cold Millions by Jess Walters. I had come across this book on Booktuber, which is like a book review website, which is really fun. And as soon as I saw it, I was literally so captivated by the title of this book and also by this beautiful cover. And also it just looks like a really good, fun, adventurous read. And every now and then I do like reading an adventure book, so you know, here you go. So I would love to send a huge thanks to Harper Books for sending me an advance review copy of this book. This book is now available to buy in stores or online or wherever you buy your books. It came out on October 27th, and I'm so late in reviewing this because it has been so busy for me, but finally, here we are. So yes, let's jump into the synopsis for this awesome book. I seriously love all the blues in this, it's so pretty. The setting is the northwest frontier of the early 1900s. We follow two adventure-seeking brothers named Rye and Gig Dolan. They live by their wits, jumping freight trains and trying to line up day work at crooked agencies. Ryland is 16 years old and yearns for stability and a good home, while his dashing and a bit more crazy brother, Gregory, follows his heart and dreams of a better world, fighting alongside union workers for fair pay and some decent treatment. On their travels, they come across a mysterious woman named Ursula the Great, a vaudeville singer who performs with a cougar and introduces the two brothers to a dangerous man, a powerful and ruthless mining magnate who will stop at nothing to keep all of his money, as well as Ursula by his side. Rye meets a young and fearless, outspoken activist and feminist named Elizabeth Gurley Finn. He gets completely swept up in her passionate workers' cause, but alas, a storm is brewing and Rye will be forced to decide where he stands in all of it. Is it all worth it to win the occasional battle, even if you can never win the war? This is an intimate story of brotherhood, sacrifice, and betrayal set against a stunning backdrop of an early 20th century America. And it is very relevant to our current time. So that is the synopsis for this awesome book. Stay tuned, because when I come back, I will give you my review and my rating for The Cold Millions. Welcome back, you guys. Thank you so much for staying tuned. So let's jump into my review for this awesome adventure book. So I love a good adventure story. Every now and then I do love to throw one in the mix in my book reviews. And this one also had a mix of historical fiction in it as well, which I very much appreciated. You are completely transported like way back when to a time long gone in this book. And it truly felt like you were right there in the chilly Pacific Northwest, and you could seriously feel like the cold air blasting in your face as you're reading this book, because you know it's a very cold in the setting of this book. I loved all the places that you're taken in this book, such as Missoula, Billings in Montana, Spokane, Seattle or Spokane, I never know how to pronounce that, Denver, Colorado, and Idaho. And a lot of these places I actually traveled to last year, so it was really fun to kind of reminisce about those Pacific Northwest. So yeah, the writing style of this book was really great. It took me a while to actually get into it. I think just because I wasn't expecting this type of writing style, but as soon as I got into it, I'd say like a little bit before halfway in the book, I seriously did love the way that Jess Walters wrote this book. He's a very good storyteller, and it just really kept you gripped the entire time. And I actually found myself comparing this book to On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I don't know if you've read that book. I will post my review below. It's a really great book. Yeah, it was really cool. I like the writing style of it. I'm gonna give you all the things that I loved about this book. So as I already said, I absolutely love the setting of this book. It really felt like you're right there, and he's a very descriptive in his writing. And I really love the setting of this book. It was amazing. And then to top it all off, it was all put together with all these rich, incredible, eclectic characters. Rai and Gig are really, really awesome brothers. I mean, they don't have anyone else in the world, so they really rely on each other. And I just really loved reading about their sort of brotherly bond and, you know, their crazy adventures that they're going through. I just really loved this sort of free-spirited nature of the book. You know, they are jumping freight trains and trying to find work and just literally going where the work is, as people did back then. So I just really did love that about the two brothers in this book. One of the places that was sort of like the center of the book was Spokane, or Spokane, please correct me if I'm wrong, I never know how to pronounce it, in Washington, which was a sort of up-and-coming town in this time period. Spokane was one of the boom areas at that time, and it was where the brothers had gone to, where there were a lot of protests happening with union workers, and also it could be a possible home for Rai as well. You know, Rai just wanted to sort of like settle down and stop moving around for a while, and I just really like that it's centered around Spokane and, you know, all this sort of turmoil going on. It was quite political, and there was like clashes with like the cops and the workers. It was just a lot going on that was really great in this book. And then another thing that I loved about this read was that I learned a lot about the IWW, which is the International Workers of the World, and they're most commonly known as the Wobblies. I mean, I sort of knew something about it, but I really did not know that much more. I just knew that it was sort of like a big union back in the day, and that was about it. And you do learn a lot reading this book because Walter does go in depth, sort of telling us about the experiences of these workers and what they had to do and all the sort of unrest that happened. And fun fact, Wobblies, or the IWW, were founded in Chicago, Illinois in 1905, and they were known as one of the big unions to cut across all industries and trades. So it's really quite fun because I was really interested in looking up the whole IWW union organization after reading this book. So I do love reading books that actually encourage me to learn more about the subject matters covered in them, and you know, learning is just awesome. So that was really great. Walter centered the book on real life free speech demonstrations that happen in Spokane. So I just really thought that was a really good core for him to sort of work the story around. I really love the fact that he used real life activists. So it's sort of like a mix of, he actually used like real activists in this book and then also fictional characters. And one of the real characters he used was Elizabeth Gurley Flynn, who was a real life labor leader, a feminist, and an activist who played a really important role in the IWW, as well as played a major role in women's rights, birth control, and so much more. So I just really did like that it wasn't so male dominated in this book. There was like a very important main character that was female, and she was an activist, and she did lots of amazing work. So I just, you know, as a feminist, I personally just love that he highlighted that in his story. With all that said, let's jump into my rating for The Cold Millions. So I gave this beautiful blue book a rating of 8 out of 10. Yeah, so it was a really great, solid book. It was an enjoyable read, and I would definitely recommend it. And if I could describe The Cold Millions into 4 words, they would be earnest. I did find that quite charming that he just sort of used the everyday working man and just sort of like, you know, told their story. The second word is captivating, because this book was definitely a page turner, and I was totally pulled in for the whole book, especially from like the middle to the end. It was just lots of, you know, fun stuff going on, and I just never got bored with it. The third word is refreshing, because I just loved the setting of this book. It's a really nice wintry read. It was just cool, and you can just feel the blast of air and all that fun stuff. And also, I learned a lot about union workers and the IWW and all of that. So it was really refreshing to just learn something that I really didn't know a lot about. And the fourth word, and not least, is thrilling, because this was a really fun book to read. It was wild, it was adventurous, it was roaring. It's just like a really fun adventure book. If you want to get transported to a time long gone, into the wilderness of the North Pacific West, I would definitely recommend for you to read this book. It's also a perfect book for the winter. I just think it was really nice, cozy, wintry book to read. And it offers a 360 portrait of a time and a nation grappling with the differences between rich and poor, as well as harsh realities and simple dreams. Filled with rich characters and a stunning background, I would really highly recommend this read to any adventure and historical fiction lovers out there. Let's get to the fun bit of my book review where I do my song pick. You all know that I do love music and I love pairing the books that I read with songs that I feel that are reflect the book. So for this book, I wanted to pick a song that sort of spoke to the core story of this book and the main idea of Jess Walters' book. That would be obviously the ongoing struggle and the fight for basic workers' rights, also the union organizations. So my song pick for this book is Which Side Are You On by Seeger. This is a really cool song. Definitely check it out, and I think that it really relates to the story of this book and also what Rye is going through in this book. And it's very fitting. So thank you so much, guys, for staying tuned, and subscribe and hit that like button, and I will also post my written review below if you do want to read it. Thank you and have a great week.